Balancing it all, wife, mom, entrepreneur. That's next on StonePark Podcast, Dream, Build, Connect. Welcome once again. I'm David, your host. Carlos is right next to me, my co-host.
What's going on, David?
You tell me what's going on.
Man,
Why don't you introduce this one?
Man, what can I say? I got the big boss here.
All right. Who's that?
That's my wife.
Your wife.
Proudly. Yeah, man, got the big boss here, man. I can't even say that. I don't want to be in trouble.
All right, let me do it. Stephanie. She's a successful entrepreneur, the significant other of Carlos.
That's right.
The wife, the boss, co-owning and operating Royal Cleaning Company, and that services the DMV area, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
I've actually used her before, so skills. All right, so I know a lot about both of you. This is actually an episode that I'm looking forward to, that I've had penciled in for a while. I just kept on erasing next week. Next week.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy the day has come. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited about being here.
Okay, so me putting Carlos here, well, actually, it was Carlos that put Carlos here because I said that he should be over there.
Yeah.
Would you want Carlos right next to you, or you want to stand on your own?
I'm confident enough to stand on my own, but
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Because
got it.
and what was your reason?
My reason is because she's the star, man.
Yeah.
And she's the face of Royal Cleaning, and she's the reason why it's where it's at, and all praise to her, man. She's the one with she's the one that gets the credit.
I've been blessed to meet your daughter, Catalina.
Yes.
And we talk about her often on the podcast.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I've only met you a handful of times. I see him all the time, but I know that she is split evenly in terms of her personality. And the things that I know that Carlos doesn't have, I was like, oh, that's Stephanie. That has to be Stephanie. So I'm sure I'm going to see who Catalina or where she comes from right here.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's get into it. Stephanie, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
My name is Stephanie Martinez, and I am the co-owner of Royal Cleaning Company. I am a proud mother of 3 beautiful kids, and I grew up in the Northern Virginia area.
Very cool. And you've been in Virginia your entire life, right?
My entire life, yes.
All right, because we always joke around,
Here we go.
So there's always, usually it's just me and him, but then when we have a guest, that's 3. And then I always ask, well, where are you from? And then when you say Virginia, I'm like, oh, man.
I brought the big backup this time.
Because I'm always looking for, I think we had one guest that said Maryland.
Yeah.
But that's cool. Virginia's cool.
Yeah.
Tell us more about Royal Cleaning Company. Like, how did it start?
It actually started with Carlos's mother and himself back in 2007. I did meet Carlos later on in 2015, and that's when Royal Cleaning Company was introduced to me. His mother has a similar name. Hers is Royal Cleaning Services, and I actually worked with her. Honestly, I didn't know anything about cleaning. I was like oblivious to all of it. It was something new for me. And honestly, in the beginning, I didn't like it. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah. So when Carlos brought it up to you, I think you already had, you were in another career, and it was a very hard thing for you to imagine, to just kind of stop what you were doing and then go right into, your own business.
Yes.
Tell me, how did you get over that? Or one, how did he convince you? Mm-hmm. And then at what point were you like, oh, okay, I made the right decision?
Baby, I promise.
Oh.
I promise.
Before Royal Cleaning, I was in the hospitality industry.
Right.
So I was working at a hotel.
Okay.
And it's kind of the same thing, but not really. So I started out in at the front desk, and then I ended up, they seen my potential, and then I ended up being a sales manager, which
Nice.
It was so stressful, and it wasn't for me. And then I ended up meeting Carlos, and he introduced me to the cleaning business.
So it's kind of it helped you in a way because you knew that you weren't cut out for whatever they were giving you at the hotel.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But then I could say that there's more stress being your own boss. And did you feel that? Did you feel like, well, oh crap, like now I'm the one that's going to have to produce? Did you feel it?
Yes, definitely.
And
it was
then
definitely there.
I'm taking it that Carlos, not even Carlos, but Carlos's mother was kind of like a mentor to you, right?
Oh, most definitely.
Okay, tell me about that relationship.
She taught me everything that I know, honestly. And most of my training, quote unquote, was really hands-on training. It was just being in the front line and knowing everything. I already knew how to like speak to customers, clients, just because I was used to that in, the hotel business. So I was already used to that part. But the actual like hard labor, I was kind of like, oh, this is what it is.
It's manual labor.
Yeah.
I mean, and really people are all over you, including myself, because I have a service that comes and I'm kind of looking for little things here and there. And it's just there's no room for error, right?
Not at all.
When you got in, I'm assuming that you had kind of like a younger energy, right?
Oh, yes.
What did you implement into the business, like using social media? I remember you were telling me back in the day, you and your father, Carlos, that is, used to go out and put flyers on people's or door knockers.
Yeah, door knockers.
Okay.
Yeah, door knockers and at the door, and then like under the mailboxes because you can't put them on the mailboxes. And yeah, man, it was definitely footwork. Like you literally had to walk like everywhere.
It's not like that, right?
You can still, but technically it's not like that's old school,
right?
And now it's it's social media.
Yeah, it's been social media for the longest time now. I remember like not too long ago I was trying to throw flyers and I didn't get anything out of that. And all of mine is like self-promotion on the social media platforms. So yeah,
you're really good at that because I've heard stories that you're able to connect right there on the spot. Yeah. And that's one of Stephanie's, right, Carlos, one of her strong suits.
100%, 100%.
Maybe more,
go.
Maybe more than you because.
Oh yeah, because like we said about on the appearances episode, maybe I'm not that approachable, or you know what I mean, and like it feels like in that industry, like I can't just be like, hey, by the way, I got a cleaning company, can I come to your house? Like it's kind of like, but whenever she does it, it's better, you know what I mean? Like,
of course.
And like, I don't know, man. Like, she's just really good at it. Like, really, really good at it.
Yeah, I mean, and also when I first met you, you were on time, passionate, and very happy and positive, right?
Yes,
Usually, when you have a cleaning company, there are no smiles. It's just
they say I got a sour. They say I always look mad. So imagine me coming to your house.
But I disagree with that because I think that I would say communication is one of your traits.
Yeah.
That you're able to talk with anyone. Like when we had you at the jobs, I'd show up and you're talking to the little old neighbor down the street, and they know you and they're giving you.
I get along with everybody, man.
So I think that it's
if I'm given the opportunity,
right?
From and that's the thing. Sometimes you don't even get the opportunity.
Maybe
to
a
say
wig.
Hello.
You just put a wig on.
You think it's the wig, man? Like it's.
All right. Well, let's talk about Carlos, the man, the myth, the legend. Are you able to separate the business and family life? Because he's involved in the business. I know that you're pretty much all the operations, but I hear the phone calls. Sometimes I'm with him and he has to talk with you. I know that he's involved.
Yes.
So having that and then also having home life, how do you guys work that out?
Not everything I need to go to him for. So that's where that separation comes in at. Because if it's something like serious, like hey, I need your opinion on something. I don't know how to, react to this message. I don't know how to go about this message, or what I need to do going forward. So with that being said, that's when that business comes into play. But do I need to tell him, one of my clients said, oh, the blinds wasn't done correctly, or, something of that nature. No, I don't need to tell him that. So that's where that separation comes into play.
That's cool. And then when you guys get home, do you talk about work, or you guys are able to kind of...
Yeah, sometimes when it comes up, especially when it's something that needs to be addressed, because I like to let him be in the loop of things just in case something goes sour, or, even a good thing, and he's always there like saying, good job, you handled that perfectly. See, you didn't even need me on that one, so things like that.
Yeah, we just try to, give each other like a little space with the work. Like, I don't want to bring my work into her, because I know she's already stressed with everything that she got going on, and vice versa, so unless it's like something really important, then we'll kind of like be like, all right, what's your problem today? My problem is this. What about yours? My problem is this. And then we'll talk about it. Other than that, we just try to, I try to teach her like my famous method of like, let go. You know what I mean? And don't amplify nothing.
Yeah. Carlos is good at that, as you know.
Yeah.
Here's the next question. Give me a good trait and a trait that you're like, about Carlos. I don't want to say bad trait, so a good trait about Carlos.
The good trait about Carlos is he's very strong-minded, very, very strong-minded.
Agreed.
He always, no matter if the situation is negative, he always finds a way for it to be positive and a way to figure it out. So I think that is one of his best traits that I love about him.
I agree with you. Yeah. And what about what can you live without?
I don't like that one, but okay.
Or work on.
His I don't care, quote unquote, attitude. Nothing bothers him. Sometimes I'm like, are you human? Like, come on now, Carlos. But yeah, he's got a very tough shell, and I've learned over the years being with him to kind of just like, just let it be how it is,
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Obviously, you have more experience. I have been seeing Carlos more often this past year, and I've picked up on that as well, that it might look like he doesn't care, but he actually does, because if you push him and push him and push him, he will explode, and then you'll find out that, he does care. So he just handles it a little better. And
yes, he does.
I guess if, let's say, and I'm similar to you, I'd like to lay out all the problems, or I shouldn't say problems, issues, and say, okay, we got to do this, and this and that. And when you don't hear that feedback, maybe like you're like, well, do you hear what I'm saying, man? What's going on? But his actions do show that he is listening, because after you say something, a couple hours later or a day after, it's like, hey, look, I finished this. What you said was right, this and that. And it comes from just kind of working with someone, right? Mm-hmm. And I think just in a small business or even in a marriage, that just because one doesn't respond the way you do doesn't mean that they're not processing it or they don't care.
Right.
Right. And
yes.
I think that we're always trying to push people to think like us, but we got to step back and understand that we're not always right. For me to say that I'm 100% right all the time, I'm a bozo. There's no way. Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So just stepping back and understanding how people work, that's where you're going to get the most out of them. So with Carlos, I feel that. I feel like I say certain things, I don't need to repeat it over and over and over again, like how my mind is thinking, how he's reacting. He knows, right? And it's just, sometimes the over and over approach for Carlos might not be as effective,
mm-hmm.
right?
I agree. I definitely agree.
I'm sure you and I have a lot to talk about that we could say, Carlos, but I don't want this to be a Carlos bash.
Carlos roast session.
Yeah.
No, it's all good.
There's no reason for that. So where does that positive go-getter mentality come from? Because you're super positive.
Definitely my father. My dad.
Okay.
Always, from even a young little girl, was always like, he never liked the word I can't, or it's impossible, I can't do it. He's like, no, if you have 2 arms and 2 legs, you can do it.
Nice.
And he always instilled that in me, and that always stayed with me up until my adulthood. And I think that's one of the reasons why I always try to stay so positive, even in negative situations.
That's awesome. And your father has been with you for your entire life, right?
Well, my dad, he's not my quote unquote real father. I don't like the label stepfather.
I got it.
But he married my mom. He's Puerto Rican, so he he had that Hispanic mentality of how that could be.
I got it.
How that could be. So yeah, he raised me since I was 9 years old.
That's awesome.
So
shout out to Julio, man.
Yes.
And I guess that's what I'm trying to say. He's still in your life, and still,
oh yes, definitely,
having your parents in your life, especially at this age, when you go back to them. Like I tell Carlos, I feel what's going to happen is. And I haven't experienced it, but I think you guys have or are starting to feel it, that the kids kind of go out and do their own thing. And then you're waiting for them to come back. But while you're waiting, you should be doing your thing.
Yes.
And right now is a time, kind of what our parents are feeling like, calling our parents a little more often, talking to them, staying a little longer, trying to figure out what they're doing, instead of the high and by, what teenagers or someone in their 20s would do.
Yeah.
So I wish that in my 20s, and I guess anyone listening that's in their 20s, like, respect to the parents. The parents are always thinking about you. They might not say it because they don't want you to feel a certain way, but they are always thinking about you. I will always think about Mateo, always. Camilla, always. Just think about them, till now, till whatever, till even when I die. I mean,
I could see you being 75, 80 years old, and like Mateo or Camilla being like, hey, and you just like, I'm gonna get there on time. I don't care. I could see you there with the you can barely drive, and you're gonna get there, man.
Yeah,
you're gonna get there.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
I might get arrested driving over people.
You're gonna get there. You're gonna get there
for sure. It's something about children. But yeah, that's cool. So you had a positive father figure in your life,
definitely,
and that helped you get that confidence to.
Oh yeah, definitely. He was always there pushing me, and he actually was one of the reasons why I am actually bilingual in Spanish, because he pushed that on me. I didn't like it. I was like, no, it's too hard. I'm not doing it. But he pushed me, and him pushing me gave me the benefit of being bilingual. Not to mention Carlos's family and being around. And even to this day, my Spanish is not perfect. But at the same time, if I don't know something, I'm going to say, Carlos, what does this mean? Like, how do I say this? So it is very super beneficial.
But you know what? Everybody always trips out with you, though.
Yes.
Like, whenever they hear her, speak, they're like, what? Like, you understand? Like, what? It's
even the food, because he came here with some food. He's like, yo, Dave, you don't understand, man. This is better than a restaurant. And I was just looking at him, but now I get it.
Yeah. Well, shout out to his father. His father taught me all of that, all the Spanish food.
He said that. He said that his dad was the cook.
My dad was the cook, man.
That's awesome. Yeah. Is he still here?
Yeah, he's still here.
Yeah, we should have him come on here, man. That would be so funny.
That would be so fun.
Always respectful to me.
Oh, yeah.
And from what I get from Carlos, the advice that he gave Carlos to give to us, shout out to your dad, because he really everything that he said was from a caring point of view. He never talked bad or anything like that. He just really wanted us to succeed.
100%. Since day one, he's always he's always had that, he loved you guys. He does. He's always cool. Like, man, the company's awesome.
He's part of the family. All right, so let's get back to more family members. Catalina, because I know her, right? Catalina. Yeah. Every episode, and I'm happy for that. And that's what I hope when she listens to this, whenever she's ready, that she sees how much you love her.
Yeah.
She has a lot of love in her life. But do you agree that she has the same mentality as you? Go-getter, positivity. Do you agree with that?
Oh yes. She
and
definitely does.
Do you think she gets it from you?
I think she gets it from me. Yeah, she gets a little from Carlos, but she gets a lot of it from me.
Yeah.
Just for an example, she if we're driving and she sees a homeless person, she'll be like, "Mom, give him some money. Give them some money."
Oh wow.
And I'm like, wow, that really touches my heart. And and for her, being her age, saying something like that, like, because she could just be like, oh, what is that guy doing, or what is that woman doing? Like, she can just be like that, but she knows what they're there, what's going on with them. So she's super smart in that aspect. And I'm the same way. I'm very caring. Like, I will take the shirt off of my back for somebody, especially my family.
Yeah, I remember when we were going through some hard times, we were on speakerphone, and you were so positive and genuine, and like when I heard that, I don't know if you know, my eyes were watering. Just like you're like, oh, he's going to be all right, and don't worry, tell him don't worry, and I heard all of it, and I don't even know if you knew I heard it, but very, very, very special. Going back to your daughter, what does that make you feel as a mother? Because you're here hustling as an entrepreneur, right? You're always busy. Carlos tells me sometimes you're talking to clients around 11, maybe 12 o'clock at night, trying to schedule things.
Yes.
But you're holding it down as a mother and a wife as well. But what does it make you? How does that make you feel? Because to me, like I'm new to the game of children, and it's everything to me. It's everything. Like if anyone has a compliment for Mateo, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like the best thing ever. It's better than $1 million.
It's a great feeling.
Yes.
Oh, it's so
yes.
good.
Yes,
So good.
yes.
When you know it's like
Genuine.
coming
Yes,
from you too. Like
yes.
knowing that it's not a fake,
For
move
sure.
or anything.
Yeah.
What does that make you feel like as a mother?
So fulfilling. And kids are like sponges. They're going to grasp onto everything, especially at that age. They're going to, and me instilling what my dad instilled in me is just so fulfilling. So I'm so grateful that I was subjected to that, because then I can pass that on to my daughter. My sons are already on that path. So, that's something that's so fulfilling, and it makes me feel so good inside.
Yeah, that's cool. What about the hardest thing about being an entrepreneur and a mother? What's the hardest thing?
I think my scheduling is by far the hardest, because I have 10, 12-hour days. Most of the time I have between 4 and 5 houses a day. So my time is limited in the evening. And, she'll like, when I come home, like she'll be like, do you want to watch a movie, or do you want to do this? And it breaks my heart when it's like close to her bedtime. I try to do something with her in between, like whether it's a game or playing a little game on her PlayStation, something small to where she doesn't feel like I'm like kind of like neglecting her in a way, so that right there is like the hardest thing about running a business and being a mom.
Yeah, I see that a lot, because like by the time I get home and then she gets home, we kind of get there around the same time roughly. And Catalina's like, Mama, you want to watch a movie? And then I look at the time and I'm like, you don't got enough time to watch a whole movie. And I don't want to stop her in the middle of like the best part of the movie, right? So I'll be like, I look at her, I'm like, I don't think it's enough time for a movie. And she's like, yeah. And I know she's tired, you know what I mean? But you have to balance that, you know what I mean? It's tough because, Catalina, she doesn't know, you know what I mean? She doesn't understand, hours and she's just at home right now because the school's on vacation. She's just waiting. She's always like, what time is mommy coming home? What time are you coming home? Because I want to do something, you know what I mean? And yeah, so it is tough, but she does balance it very well.
Yeah, when I see Mike's good at that. I see him with his kids a lot, and you could see that he's so tired. Like you just see him, but his kids will be like, "Daddy, let's do this." He's like, "Okay."
Yeah,
and he just
that's so true. That's so true.
He's really good at that.
Yeah,
I'm not great at it, but I'm working on it, and I could see that when you do make the effort, they see it.
Yeah.
And on top of that, when you tell them that you're tired, they're okay with it, but they would rather much play with you. They're always respectful. They're like, okay, so you being, let's say a listener is out there and saying to themselves, well, my kids understand. They always understand.
Oh yeah.
But it's much better to hang with them because they really, really want to do that. They're going to remember that, and hopefully they rinse and repeat.
Especially David, when you have she's not the only child, right? But she's the only one at the house because everybody's older. They're like, so she's kind of like only child almost, right? So she doesn't have nobody to play with. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when we get home, we're the brothers, we're the siblings, parents, her playmates, we're everything. So if we don't give her that time, then it's kind of like, you know what I mean? It's tough, you know what I mean? So, man, yes.
No, I see that. And I have the luxury of having the two little ones around the same age.
Perfect.
So, so my hanging out is a little masked with, you know, I'm on the phone. I'm like, yeah, let's go outside. And they're running around and I'm just kind of like doing work. Right. So I know it's tough on you guys, but at least you guys know it. You guys are putting in the effort, and it shows with her that she's getting it from somewhere. You know, like it's not like you guys are, you know, okay, you know, go play PlayStation or do whatever. She's very outspoken. Like when she comes up to me, she's like, "Hi, Mr. David," and then she gives me a hug. You know, like that's, you know, that's awesome. That's awesome. A lot of kids shy away. A lot of kids run away. But she's like up front and center, and that she's due for big things. So you guys are doing a great job.
Thank you so much.
So let's bring it to some not so good times. COVID. Yeah. So tell us about how you guys got through it. That's a question for both of you guys.
Well, like everybody else, COVID really did royal cleaning like very badly. I want to say I lost about 85 to 90% of my clients during that time. Wow. So at that time, I really thought Royal Cleaning Company was done, you know, and it was a tough thing to have to, because I never experienced something like that within the 10 years that I've done, you know, been in this industry. I've never, ever had to deal with something like that.
It was crazy because I don't think any of us in our lives, just in our personal lives, experienced something like that. Like they were going back to some other case back in the early 1900s, and they were like, oh, it's going to be, I remember reading a pandemic is like anywhere from 18 months to 2 years of just craziness. And I was thinking, how are we even going to get through or survive or anything like that? And also the cleaning business, you would think that that's the first thing that people are like, well, I don't want anyone in our house.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like she said, it was something that hit us really bad. Like, think about it, you know, as you said, pandemic, nobody wants you around. You know what I mean? Like, even family.
No one wants that breath.
Nothing.
That spray. Remember they were saying the spray.
The particles of
They were saying that the spray of a hachu was like 20 feet. So you go into a Target, someone hachus, and everyone's like, you know, and it was true. I was even doing the same thing.
Man.
Even to this day, when you see someone we're way past that now.
Yeah, that's so true. But yeah, man, like, you know, when that hit, man, the first thing that went out was that, you know what I mean? Like those services, because nobody wants you in the house. You know, and I don't blame them, you know, like it was a scary time. So first thing was, here goes one customer. Hey, I'm off to cancel. We were like, whoa, okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then it just dropped domino effect, you know, and it was scary, man. We're like, whoa, we're really like depending on this. Like, this is our livelihood. Like, we're like, wow, what do we do now? You know, and it was tough.
Yeah, definitely.
Stephanie, tell me about the feeling that you had when you thought this is it, and you felt like giving up. Like what was going through your mind?
I'm going to be super, super transparent right now. There were times where I would cry myself to sleep because this business means everything to me. And seeing everything that was transpiring in front of me was like, oh my gosh, like, what am I going to do? Like, you know, it was heartbreaking. So heartbreaking.
How did you flip it and get motivated? Because obviously you made it through.
Yeah. So I actually had to revert going back out of my comfort zone to back into the hospitality industry. So I went and I was like looking for, you know, the bills were coming in. So I can't stop that. Nobody can stop that. It's going to come in regardless of your situation, regardless of COVID. So with that, I had to revert back to hospitality. So I actually got a job at the Marriott in Potomac Mills. And there I was actually applying to be front desk because I just wanted something to just like clear the bills, get the bills in order. And during my interview, I put on there that I had a cleaning company. So the general manager was like, He's like, okay, I can hire you for that, but I have another proposition I want to offer you. I want to offer you a housekeeping manager position, which the pay grade was at least like $3 more than the front desk. So I'm like, oh, definitely. Definitely. And I already had the experience under my belt. So it was just a good fit for everyone. So
that's awesome. And then how did you get back? What was the strategy to get back? Because I know you working at Marriott, that was just to pay the bills, but you probably had in the back of your mind, I've already lived the life of being my own boss, right? So
right.
that's cool that you were able to humble yourself, for your family, take care of business. But I know in the back of your mind, and in every entrepreneur's mind, when they go back, to reverting back to the old ways, they want to go back to being their own boss. So how did you make that transition? What happened?
Yeah, that was definitely something that was always in the back of my mind. So being like clocking in and out for somebody, I'm like, I do not like this. Like, this is not for me. Once I got the taste of being my own boss, like, who would want to clock in and out for somebody? You can't, if you want a day off and that it's not in their best interest for you to take that day off, you can't. And when you're your own boss, you can take any day off you want within reason, and that was one of the things where I was like, it just got to the point where, not to mention, I'm good under stressful situations, but at the same time, I'm like, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? So I picked up the phone. I said, Carlos, this is it. I'm sorry. I can't do this. I'm a boss. I have my company here. We have our company here. What am I doing? I had to take a step back and ask myself, what am I doing? And that's when I really pushed myself I was like, Carlos, you know what? I have to get back into the business. There has to be a way out of this.
Yeah, and the cases were kind of slowing down. The scare was kind of going away a little bit. There was still smoke in the air, but you could kind of feel the tension was kind of coming down, and people were kind of being a little bit more inviting. So that was another reason we were like, well, it seems like it's okay. I mean, at the end of the day, my mother stayed on.
She did.
I don't know how, but my mother stayed on the whole time, dude. I don't know how. My mom, she didn't go back to work. My mom literally stayed with the company, with her own. How? I don't know. She did lose a lot of customers as well, but those little ones, those little 10% that she
She put it in a chokehold, I think.
Yeah.
She just came there. She was like, doom.
Yeah.
And they were like,
I demand.
Yeah. And
I would have opened the door and be like, F it, just go ahead.
She's here now, And I got a hazmat suit on. I mean, come on, man. So yeah, her staying on and everything, we talked about that too. We were like, you know what, I think it's kind of over, and it's not over yet, but it's a little bit more acceptable. Let's throw it out there. Let's see what happens. But with her marketing skills,
Yeah, so you made the decision, this is what I am, this is what I'm gonna do, and you took a bad situation and now you're thriving. So how does that feel? The comeback?
It's so fulfilling because, reverting back to COVID is you really think about it and it really humbles you, because at any point in time, we just got that situation, the COVID. So, and it can happen in any situation. You can have your own business and have your own company, but it can be removed in an instant, with COVID.
Being your own, being a business owner, you die many times. You died.
Yes.
That's basically what happened. You were in the casket, threw the flowers, put some dirt, and then all of a sudden you just started coming back up.
Yeah, it's funny because Carlos was like, you have 7 lives, I think.
you in the movies, the hand comes out of it.
I've done that. I did that just recently. I knew what you were going through. I just went whoosh, and then I come, you come out and you do the Michael Jackson, and then all of a sudden you just get back to it. So I get it. That's what it is. That's what being an entrepreneur is about. And it's cool that you're able to share that story because it's humbling. Mm-hmm. It's humbling, Definitely. But it's also inspiring for people to hear that because there's failure along the way, right? And it just, you got really hit
Yeah.
You got like that
Yeah.
when he told me that, because we didn't feel it that bad in real estate because we were able to continue to work on our projects, our developments, and developments take about 18 months.
Right.
So we had things starting, and we were just hoping, well, I hope at the end of this development.
We were essentials.
Yeah.
So, we were
That's
okay.
true. Yeah. So I wrote everyone a document saying that they worked for StonePark and that we're doing these developments.
Yeah.
And I think a couple of our guys got pulled over and they showed it, and that was it.
I got pulled over in DC.
And that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think that people
crazy.
were getting pulled over like, yo, what are you doing on the street?
Yeah,
Like, oh, I'm working.
I was like on 14th Street and I got pulled over. Cops are like, where are you heading? And I was like, I'm going to work. He's like, you're not supposed to be at work. And I'm like, yeah. And I gave him, I had it on the dash. He looked at it. He didn't even read it all, but he was just kind of like, all right, whatever.
Go for it. Yeah, so that's a real cool story. All right, let's talk about, and it's one of my favorite topics, teams, your team, right? Because I know that you're not just lone wolf in it, because that's a hard hustle. Like you're telling me you got 5 houses a day. That's crazy. You must have a team, right? Mm-hmm. Tell us about it. Tell us how what it means to you to have a good team behind you.
I'm going to be transparent again.
Go for it.
The beginning stages of Royal Cleaning, I was a lone wolf. Mm-hmm. I was a lone wolf for quite a while.
I don't know how.
I had 3 to 4 houses a day that I was doing by myself.
Yeah, that's rough.
I don't know how.
That's rough.
That was crazy. Like, I don't.
Because I know we have I don't want to say this, a lone wolf cleaner, but it's just one person. And I think she might do max, like 3 homes a day, max. Because I think really it's just 2 homes a day. And if you average it out, and I know that you could do a condo, a townhouse, a single family home. So I know it all ranges.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But, she'll be at our house, a single family house, for a while. Like I've seen her there quickest 4 hours. That's the quickest. Usually she's there for a good 4.5, 5 hours. Yeah. So for you to go to that many properties and not who cares if it's just smaller units, people driving, that's a lot. That's a lot. So how long did you do it lone wolf style?
A few years. Wow. I did it a few years, yeah.
And was it because of the money? Because obviously you don't give that money up. Or the trust. No,
I don't think it was about the money. It was me trying to convince myself that I could do it. I could do it because, again, that go-getter mindset I always had was, I'm going to do it. It wasn't really about the money. The money's great, don't get me wrong, but it really was about me proving to myself I can do it.
So sometimes, now we don't do it, but when we were younger, we used to drive to Florida, right? And the Florida drive is 13, 16 hours or whatever. If I went with my wife, who was probably back then my girlfriend, I wouldn't let her touch the wheel. I'm going for it. And it was almost like there was a championship on the line. Yes. Like I'm going to get $1 million if I did it. And I'm sleepy as hell, drinking Red Bulls, risking our lives, all that stuff. And Mike said, who are you proving this to? Mike was like, listen, man, give the wheel up to your wife. Like you're not going to get some prize. You're not going to get a trophy that says you drove to Florida nonstop. Yeah, you're right. And I apply that to work. Like I'm the same way as you. Oh, you're saying that I can't do it? Oh, watch me. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take care of this. Mm-hmm. But as you get older, the time is so much more valuable, right? Oh, yeah. And then you start flipping it and you're like, you know what? If I let these people do it, this is going to free me up to either have more time or get more business. Is that what happened to you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Okay. Because then you can now of course, you got to have that trust in your team that they're going to do a good job, whether you're there or not. Right. And that's ultimately my goal, everybody's goal. If you go to McDonald's, the general manager's not always there. Right. They're not always up front, So I think that's what made me, want to gain even more experience than I already had under my belt, and to prove to myself, I can do it if need be. If it gets to that point again, where I run into a situation where I have to do it on my own, I know that I can do it.
At what time did you feel like, okay, this is it, I need someone?
After COVID, when it started picking up and stuff, I was like, You know, I was doing it on my own. I was like, and then I was like taking a step back, like, oh yeah, I can't do this on my own anymore. You know, I did it for X amount of time, and now it's got to the point where it was too much for me to do, and I didn't want to put that stress, like health wise, mental wise, all of that. I didn't want to put that much stress on myself.
Yeah, I think from like 2015 to 2020, you did it by yourself.
Yeah, I did.
That's crazy. So now, okay, so you get people, which in theory, it makes things easier, but I have a lot of experience in this. It actually gets a little harder because now you have to lead and you have to motivate.
Yes.
And 9 times out of 10, the people that are under you are not going to do it the way you do it.
Oh, yes.
Right? Okay.
I can relate to that
or
so
10
much.
times, 10 times
yes.
out of 10. So how do you, as a leader, motivate them to do such manual or physical labor?
When I show them, like, it's, for example, if they're not doing something right, I'm very hard on them only because that's what was instilled in me from his mom. She didn't, even though I'm her daughter-in-law, she never, ever treated me, like, she didn't treat me bad. Don't get that wrong. She's a great boss and I appreciate her. But at the same time, pushing somebody, and then it's like it's repetition every single day that you're doing this, and me being hard on them actually makes them better because they're like, oh, Stephanie get mad about that if we don't do this right. Like, she will get upset because at the end of the day, these are my clients I've had for years, and they have so much trust in me that I don't go to a client's house to only do one-time cleanings. I'm there for the long run, for however long I can be there for 10 years if you want me to. So that is my goal ultimately. And that's why I push so hard. And it actually motivates them at the same time because they want to do great. They want me to be proud of them, which I definitely are.
No, that's cool. I remember back in the day when we used to take on small jobs here and there. And then I felt like, okay, I can leave this job and then go to another job and have my guys take care of it, take care of the client. And a lot of times the client would say, you know, it's better when you're around, or it's better when you do it.
Yes.
And you know, that's a compliment, but also it's a minor diss because that means I'm not being a good leader. I'm not leaving them with the proper management. So it's hard. It's hard, especially when you're the one in the beginning and then you're trying to grow and trying to get other people to essentially be like you, right? But then that's hard too, because if they're like you, then they want to be you, right? In terms of like taking your business or starting their own business. And you can't, the taking your business is slimy, but starting their own business, you can't knock that, because
no,
what are they doing it for? You know, like there's there are people that want to do it on their own, and then there are people that want to be under someone's umbrella. You know, and there's nothing wrong with either or.
No.
But you'll come across those superstars, and usually those superstars are the ones that are learning from you, taking those skills and ready to finance their own little project. So it's tough. All right. So you've worked all over the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia. Which is your favorite area to work in? And I know you're from Virginia, so I'm expecting that, but maybe you'll throw a curveball at me.
Honestly, I even had houses in West Virginia, in Lovettsville, and over in that area. I didn't like those areas just because they were so far away. So my ultimate area is Stafford. Is going to be Stafford.
Virginia.
Stafford is, it's got minimal traffic. They got the convenience of having so many stores. Like if you need to go get any other cleaning supplies, you got a Walmart there. You got stores there. So the convenience of having that right there is part of the reason why that's my favorite area to work in.
And what about the worst or least favorite?
West Virginia. The drive down there is I mean, I'll go anywhere.
Right.
That's just how I am. But if I were to say and have to choose, I would have to say West Virginia and the areas that are far out there.
Nastiest thing you've seen in a client's house?
Oh man, that's hard. I mean, I've seen a lot, but by far the most nastiest thing I could come across was one of this client that I had. She actually expected us to clean up feces, human feces, off of the floor and the walls. First of all, we don't do walls just for the fact that it's a liability issue, because paint can come off the wall, discoloration. So we tend to stay away from cleaning up the walls. But it was beyond gross. I was like,
What'd you say to them? Like, we don't do that, or you just...
You know what? I just had to nip it in the bud and just do it, because I'm a woman of my word. And when I tell you I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. I don't like it. Yeah. I didn't like it, but being as though I was already there and I've already, given her the rundown of everything. So
Our cleaning lady, she always tells us, and she could be telling everyone this, she's like, oh, I always like coming to your house. You guys are so nice. This is what my wife is telling me, because they usually talk for like 5-10 minutes before she gets started. And I laugh because I'm like, well, my wife, the night before, she's cleaning the house. And she's telling me, are you going to take care of this, take care of that? I'm like, but we're hiring someone to clean the house. Why are we cleaning the house? She's like, you don't get it. You don't understand. And our house is semi-clean before we give it to the cleaning lady. But it's almost like we look at our cleaning lady as part of the family.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've gotten over it. So when she tells me to, clean my closet, pick up my shoes, do this, do that, I do it. I don't argue anymore, because I look at her as part of the family. She came in. It's funny because my wife used to clean our home, and she would get so mad at me on the weekends, like when I was working, and then I come home and she'd be all like kind of disheveled, and she wouldn't want me to step here or do this. And, you don't do anything. I'm like, man, like this sucks. And as soon as she got pregnant with Mateo, it all changed. She understood that like we needed to hire someone, and we kept it on. We kept it going for, the last 6 years. Like I got respect for her, and I know that she has respect for us. And it's like family. It's like family. So, definitely. For me to like do anything like that on the wall, like I would be embarrassed. And some people are like that. Yeah. And she tells my wife some stories where disrespectful. It's just like, really? Come on. Like,
yeah, no, it's true. My mother, she has customers still to this day from 2006.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And she's seen their kids grow, go to college, come back.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like they're part of the family.
Yeah. It's so crazy.
You as the company, you're going in there and you're seeing when they get their kitchen remodeled. You're seeing when they put the new pictures up, or when they put their Christmas tree up. Or
unfortunately too, I think we've had customers that are in the elderly age, and sometimes one of the partners pass away, and we're there through that too, you know what I mean? And many customers have gone through that. So it's you become part of like an extended family, because I mean your home is your safe zone, you know what I mean? Yep. It's your home, So to have somebody come in your house, man, it's something very personal.
That's true too. Like she has her own code to get in. Yep. Like I'm sure you have many keys.
Yes.
There is trust.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of trust in that, and you need to be mindful that that's almost like extended 100%, family.
100%, man. That's why I was saying it's like you take pride in that. Like it's super important.
And the same thing for you. You're thinking that as well too, because they're giving you that trust, and that's why you want to be on point.
Right.
You want to make sure that they're getting the best rate. You want to make sure that they just feel comfortable. Like that. And I know you're good at that, but I think that people with their own businesses, they're too into their own business where they're not thinking about their clients the way that they should.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Every client, even with this podcast, right? Every subscription, like any subscriber that comes on, or a like, or a share, that means something to us.
Oh, yeah.
That means that, oh, we're doing something right. You know, like, and you got to cater your content for that.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
You can't just say, oh, I'm going to put this out and I don't care about who listens to it or.
Oh, no, you can't have that mentality.
No, because it's not going to work. And
Yeah.
I think as an entrepreneur, you need to really know that, okay, you're your own boss, but everyone is kind of your boss.
Yeah.
Everyone that you come in contact with, if you're trying to do business with them, you could look at it as like a partnership, fine.
Yeah.
But really, it's like you need to be on point.
Yeah, you have to also to take a step back and put yourself in their shoes. How would you want your house to be clean? You're paying for a service. So you're expecting a professional service. So that's where that comes into play, where they're paying for the service, so they want a good job. And you got to step back and step into their shoes for a moment, and not just, we all want to worry about our concern about our business, but at the same time, they're employing us. So therefore, we have to do everything we can to make them happy. And
there's always going to be a boss. We say that all the time, I mean, as an entrepreneur,
she's your boss.
Oh, 100%. I'm telling you, man. Like, I remember, I don't know when it was, but I had messing around. I had introduced you. I was like, yeah, it's my manager here or whatever. Remember? It was funny. But yeah, man, 100%.
All right. Cheap story.
Oh, man. So I had this one client where we spoke about what the pricing was, how big her house was, what she needed clean, what she needed done. And we agreed to a price. I stick to my price. Even if I'm like, it's worth a little more than what I'm charging, but I'm a woman of my word, so I have to keep this price. Unless it's something drastic where it's like, no, at this point, I have to charge a little more. I don't like, and I always explain that to them. I don't like to do this, and I don't like to change pricing, but it's something that has to be done.
There's an extra house in the back that you didn't show me.
Yes, like a guest house or something. So when it comes to that, yes. So she, where I get to the house and we're talking. I like them to show me around first. So where I know where everything is at, I know how to get around the house, things like that. And as we're walking through, she's kind of like sweet talking me, like, like it's not that dirty, like that type of thing. I'm like, come on now, like, don't do this to me, like,
don't do that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times where you get those customers that tell you, oh, but I had somebody, come give me an estimate already, and it was $75. And you're like, so why you call me?
Yeah, you don't want to be rude at the same time, but you're like, I can't speak
and
for.
And I'm talking about a big house.
Yeah,
like
I can't speak for other companies. I can only speak for mine and what my prices are. I'll try to work within your budget if it's within reason.
Right.
But if it's like come on now, like.
What about like when you go into a property? How long does it take for you to know whether it's going to work or not?
Oh, that first impressions is
right there. You
everything.
already know.
I already know.
You already know.
Yeah,
I'm the same way, and I think Carlos is too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could just tell. Like, and you tell them what they want to hear, but they're not getting that estimate, or they're gonna get a crazy estimate where they're just like
$1 million. No, yeah, with the first impression, right? I mean, you're able to see if the customer might be a very difficult customer.
Yes.
Because we understand difficult customers. Like, it's okay. Like, they say, oh, man, they're picky. Picky is okay because you're paying for a service and you want it to be a good service. So we understand, But there's a certain level of pickiness where it's kind of like, all right, this is probably going to be a very difficult customer. And you could tell in the first time you get there.
And then that's one of the things as being a business owner, that you have the option to say yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the
and that's
perk.
that's key right there too.
Yeah.
That everyone is your boss, but you have that last decision whether or not you want to do it or not. And then of course, if times are tough, you're going to take on those clients, and then as soon as you get your stuff situated, you'll be able to say, okay, I can get rid of this person, or maybe pass it to another person, or that person that wants to steal your clients. Mm-hmm. You'd be like, listen, you don't need to steal them, man. You can have this one.
Yes.
All right, let's end it off with a good client story. Someone that you worked with and you were like, wow, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, and it made you feel good.
So one morning, me and Carlos were actually having breakfast, and Kevin, his brother, called us and was like, "Hey, bro."
Love Kevin. Love him.
He's like, "Hey, bro."
Shout out to Kevin.
Yes, Kevin. So he called Carlos and was like, "Hey, I got this furniture and I need to get it picked up, and I can't, I'm working right now. I can't leave." So he's like, "Yeah, bro, we're having breakfast. So as soon as, we're finished, we'll go ahead and pick it up for you." So we get there, and it's in Stafford, one of my favorite areas. So, the lady's very nice. The husband's very nice. So we're starting to, load the furniture into the truck. And I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, she's moving. So my business mind is like everywhere right now. So I'm like, she's super sweet as we're going. So something within me said, tell her that you have a cleaning company. You never know who needs it. And especially when you feel like they're moving, you're like, okay, well, this is my time to tell her, hey,
hey, by the way.
So I did. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. I told her, and she was like, and her husband walked over and came over, and he was like, very interested in what I was, explaining and, about the business and everything. He was like, okay. And they were both like, okay, well, we're going to discuss it, and, we'll see what we come up with. So not even 2 days later, she calls me.
Excellent.
She calls me and she's like, yeah, we want to hire you for the cleaning service. And one of my add-ons that I actually have now is carpet cleaning. So if you're doing a move out, or even if you're not doing a move out, if you just want that add-on along with your cleaning, I offer that too. So she's like, yeah, I have a carpet cleaning guy that's coming, this day or whatnot. So I was like, in my mind, I was like, nope, I'm going to get this to you. Get it as much as you can. So I was like, well, I offer carpet cleaning too. And she was like, oh, she's like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to cancel that guy and I'm going to do the whole entire thing.
Sorry to the carpet cleaner. Shout out to
so
you,
sorry.
my guy.
Yeah, but I've had a carpet cleaner come, and their prices are weird because they come in and then you think you're going to pay this one price. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden when he's like, okay, I need you to sign. I'm looking at it. It's like triple the price. And I'm like, but why is it triple the price? And he's like, oh, because I did this and I did this. And why didn't you tell me that from the get? So I'd rather have someone like you that's doing the cleaning that I feel more comfortable talking to do that extra add-on than having another company come in and you don't really know them.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah, you've already built, I feel as though she already built that kind of based on the conversation, she already built that, and she felt like trust there, because if not, she would have just been like, yeah, no, we don't need the cleaning, something could have happened in between that, but she went with me, and I'm very, very grateful.
And you did it, and they moved away, and then we got the neighbors from her.
And I got a neighbor from her, and not to mention, so when I actually went to this client's house, they're moving out, so not all their stuff was out. So I already had another client in that area that I was going to do after her. So her husband was there. She was out and about doing some last minute things for, to prepare for the move. So she wasn't there, but her husband was there. So when we got there, not everything was still kind of in the house and whatnot. And as I was walking out, I was like, you know what, we can come back. It's not a problem. He's like, he was so stressed. So like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so sorry. Like, sorry we didn't get all the stuff out. And I was like, no problem. We can come back. I have a house down the street. It's not a problem. And he was like, so grateful for that. And then as I'm walking out, like when we got back there and we came, and he still didn't have everything out, but I'll work around it. If there's a will, there's a way. So I worked around it. So I was walking back out to grab something. I don't remember what it was, but I went to go grab something, and he's like, "Hey, Stephanie, is it okay if I give you a little extra, to try to compensate for me not being ready in this?" I was like, "No, absolutely not. What you can do for me is you can write a review and write a recommendation, and that will be my extra money or my tip or whatever you want to do." So
that's awesome.
Because what does that do? That gives you more business. What is $20, $15 tip gonna do? Right. It's gonna give you a little bit extra in your pocket, but what is worth more? Yeah. A recommendation.
I love that. I think that's actually really smart. I also like that you made the decision to just go out and tell them about your cleaning company, because I'm in that position a lot, and I never say anything. I like, we have a construction company. We could build your whole home if needed. We could do your basement, your kitchen, anything. And I just never say anything. And I bet you I've lost tons of potential clients just by not going out there and putting yourself out there. I think that's the biggest thing, because as an entrepreneur and a business owner, you feel like the business should come to you, that if you do good work, it should just come to you. Yeah. And that's not the case. And good for you. It just sounded like you got a client there. If they're still in the area, they'll probably use you. Mm-hmm. You got a neighbor from it. You got a review from it. There's so many little things that you're getting from just one situation. So that's real cool. And I think that I want to take that, a page out of that book, because we got to be more out there. We had a episode where the guest was like, "Yeah, I don't care. I'll ask him if we should do a podcast swap." And I'm not there yet, but this woman just did it. And she did it with me. She's like, "Hey, what's going on? Let's do a swap." I'm like, "What's a swap?" She's like, "You come on mine, I go on yours." And I'm like, "All right." And I guess that's the way it's done. But she just had that mentality, like, let's do it. And for us to be successful, we got to have the same thing. Definitely. No one's going to, maybe, but you're not going to have people knocking on your door every day say, "Hey, I want to jump on the podcast." You got to go out and get it. You got to build your brand. So I think that's really cool what you did. All right. So we're Dream, Build, Connect. You have a dream, you build that dream, and you take what you've built and you connect it with the world. What stage are you in? You could be on all three stages: dream, build, connect, or you could just be in one.
I'm on all three of them, because there's still things that I'm learning along the way, and I'm on all of them right now. Yeah.
Would you say that the cleaning business is where you're going to be, let's say 5-10 years from now? Like, are you just going to grow that? Are you thinking about some other stuff? Do you want to have like different areas that you want to go into? What's your mentality with that?
My mentality with it is growth. Like, growth is so important to me. And this is what I know. When you get to a certain point in your career, what you're meant to do and what you're not meant to do. And this is something I'm meant to do. And my ultimate goal is to become bigger. Those are my thoughts. And, like, I can't speak on, other, cleaning companies, but that is my thought. And that's my ultimate goal, is to become like Mary Maids or Molly Maids, those bigger companies. So that is my ultimate goal. So growth is extremely important at this point.
Very cool. And I think you're on your way to that. I think that because I'm like on the sidelines kind of looking, and I hear some of your conversations, and it just sounds like the growth has been tremendous, and you guys keep on doing it. And with your mentality where you're like the Energizer Bunny, mm-hmm. you're willing to put in the hours. And I think that's like the key ingredient, that if you're really willing to do it, it's out there for you. Definitely. It really is. And then of course, like I said, the team is really important. It sounds like you have a good team behind you, and the growth is right there. I already see it. So like, thank you like so I'm definitely rooting for you. And I have used your services before, so I could tell you that she's good. And Carlos is good too, because I felt when I asked you, it was not weird, but you treated me with like an extra level of respect, if that makes sense. Like, you're like, "Okay, may I have some pictures of the property?" And instead of like, "Yo, send me some pictures, man. Let me see what we're doing." Like, you're very professional with me. So I got a glimpse of it. And then of course you did the work. You were on time. It was exactly the price that you guys said. Bada bing, bada boom. Like, and I didn't clean it after that. So it was, you cleaned it good enough for me to get a renter in there, and I thank you for that.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So there's never enough time to balance it all, but I think you are the epitome of that in terms of like being an entrepreneur, being a wife, being a mother. I'm pretty sure you're a good friend. You just look like a person that's always there. I always say this to our guests. You guys are like inspirations to us. And I'm so thankful, or we're so thankful. And even though you're connected to Carlos, I know that he really appreciates this. Yeah. We're so thankful for you to come here and share your journey. Are there any last words that you have?
Yes. So if anybody out there listening has not yet fully gone in there thinking about starting a business or starting a company or being an entrepreneur, do it. You know, it's super beneficial to your future, to your kids' future, and it's just something that, you know, if you need a little nudge from your mentor or, you know, your friend, your family, something, but do it. It's well worth it in the end.
Yeah, I like that. I like the mentor aspect, that always look for that person. Like,
Yes.
look for a person that you admire. And I
Mhm.
bet you if you ask them, like, hey, can you give me some pointers? They're not going to look at it as competition. They're going to look at it as
No.
like, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, let's have a cup of coffee or whatever it is. Pick
Right.
their brain and go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where can people follow you?
I'm on all platforms. TikTok, you can look at Royal Cleaning Company. Instagram as well, Royal Cleaning Company. And as far as Facebook, it's facebook.com/Royal Cleaning for you.
Nice.
Tons of reviews on there, tons of recommendations. If you're kind of like hesitant of it,
Yep.
hiring a company, it's there, it's written in stone. So
For
yeah.
sure. For sure. And then if you like what you're hearing, you can follow us at StonePark Podcast. Everywhere. We're on all social platforms. If you want to connect with us directly, we have an email set up, connect@stonepark.com. Until next time, let's dream, build, connect. Thank you, Stephanie. I
Yes.
really appreciate you.
Yeah, I really appreciate you guys having me here today. Thank you so much.